Hi. So now we are going to do the other positive inotropic drugs apart from digoxin, which are left in this chapter of drugs used in congestive heart failure. So we have done digoxin in the previous two videos yet. Now we come to the next group, which is sympathomimetics, and the two main sympathomimetics used are dopamine and dobutamine, right? So let's see what is their mechanism of action. Because they are going to have a positive inotropic action, that means they are going to increase the force of contraction. Now, this is almost similar to this structure. Obviously, these are the similar, you can say the whole structure of the myofibril. It is similar what you done in digoxin. So I have just omitted the sodium and potassium channels. It was not relevant here. Otherwise, it is the same as the structure that we had drawn for digoxin. Now, see this one in the purple. It is again the L-type calcium channel. Right? So, and this is the sodium potassium calcium exchanger. Then next is the sodium potassium ATPase, where the digoxin used to act and inhibit it. And here this the different thing which I've drawn here is it's a G protein coupled receptor. It's like GS type, G stimulatory receptor. And in the heart, the important sympathomimetic receptor or sympathetic receptor here is the beta 1. So this is the beta 1 receptor, which is a G protein, G stimulatory coupled receptor. And when it is not activated, this G protein, which is alpha beta gamma subunit, it has a GDP attached to it during inactive state. Now let's see what happens when you give sympathomimetics like dopamine or dobutamine. So this is an agonist on the beta 1 receptors. So they will attach to this beta 1 receptor, and then some changes are going to occur. And when this activation occurs, so this is going to be activated, and kya hoega? This GDP gets thrown out, and instead the GTP is going to take the place, and this GTP is going to attach to the alpha subunit. So what we are going to be left with here, the beta and gamma, they are going to be separated, while the GTP, which is attached to the alpha subunit, is going to be separated. Now this is going to actually stimulate another enzyme, which is the adenylyl cyclase. So remember the pharmacokinetics where we had dynamics, where we have the different transduction mechanisms, right? So if you remember that G stimulatory में जो transduction mechanism होता है, that is through the adenylyl cyclase, right? We have the G inhibitory, we have the GQ and GS, right? So in this GS, it is the adenylyl cyclase. Now what happens when this adenylyl cyclase gets stimulated? Its role is to convert ATP into cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP is formed. This is the second messenger. Now this cyclic AMP is going to stimulate a protein kinase A. Now this protein kinase A, what is the role of protein kinase A? It causes the phosphorylation of various other proteins around, and here the important role is it also phosphorylates the calcium channels here, or it activates this calcium channel. So more calcium is now going to flow in. Okay? It causes the inflow of more calcium. And iske baad ki story to we all know. What does calcium do? It's a trigger. It's going to act on the sarcoplasmic reticulum, and it is going to cause the release of these calcium ions here. I can change the color here through the ryanodine receptor. So these calcium ions are released. So because more calcium is entering, more calcium is going to be released from here. So obviously this is going to act on the troponin C, and it causes the actin myosin interactions, and that leads to the contraction. Okay, so this is how they are increasing the force of contraction. And when this calcium is left, has done the job, so this calcium will be taken up back by the circa, or it will be exchanged here by this mechanism. So this is the role of the sympathomimetics. The difference from these digoxin is digoxin acted here. Okay, so this digoxin acted here, while your beta 1 agonists or sympathomime, as they are going to act over here on the beta 1 receptor, and through the second messenger it is going to increase the entry of calcium through the L-type calcium channels. And when whenever calcium is increased, it definitely is going to have a increase in the force of contraction, that is a positive inotropic effect, right? All right, so let's now go further. Let's talk about dopamine and dobutamine and important differences between them. Now, dopamine acts on 3 types of receptors depending on the dose on which you're giving it. So, सबसे small dose पे, which is about less than 2 micrograms per kg per minute, it acts on the D1 and even the D2 receptors. So let's talk about the D1 receptors, which are present in the kidneys. Okay, and what is the role of this when it gets stimulated? It causes vasodilatation of the renal vessels, and therefore it is going to increase the renal blood flow. So that's this first action. If you slightly increase the dose, it becomes 2 to 5 micrograms per kg per minute. It is now going to act on the beta 1 receptors, and we have done it causes a positive inotropic action. So along with the D1 action also will come this one. But if you go slightly higher than this dose, then not so good action of alpha 1 stimulation occurs, which leads to vasoconstriction. That can reverse all the good effects. So we prefer to stay till this particular dose and not go beyond that. So whenever there is, you have a congestive heart failure with shock, cardiogenic shock, okay, we prefer this drug because it also increasing the renal blood flow. Dobutamine, in the other hand, is only acting on the beta 1 receptor. So it is a beta 1 agonist only, and it causes just the positive inotropic effect. So you can use it again in CHF, but if there is no shock, you can use it along with the other drugs to have a positive inotropic effect. We don't use it for a very long time. We use it for a short period of time and it will show their effect, right?